Hey guys, it's Giant Munsties. I just got done watching the new Godzilla anime on Netflix, and boy, was that a mixed bag. Where do I want to start, the positives or the negatives? I'll start with the negatives first. I just gotta say, the pacing of this entire movie felt off. There was so much time and effort put into imagining what a future world based around Godzilla was like, but what really dragged this down was the fact that everything had to be explained. Like, there was nothing left to the imagination of the audience. It's just they had to explain every military strategy, which they do sometimes in Godzilla films, but they're very brief. This would go on for minutes and minutes at a time just talking about a specific military strategy, which wasn't really that smart and all. It was just, we're gonna lure Godzilla into a trap here and stop him. Okay, but man, we have to talk about the fuel in each of the tanks, and then we have to talk about people's personal agendas and everything. And it was cool because the film wanted to be introspective in a lot of ways about how different people would view Godzilla, the generation who grew up with him, and the generation arriving to Earth for the first time who has never seen Godzilla, how they each have different perspectives. Having lots of dialogue isn't necessarily a bad thing. If you look at Neon Genesis, for example, there's tons of talk about politics, character drives, character emotions, and the connections that they have with each other, and it's done in a way that's compelling enough that it keeps you hooked, and it gives it a realistic touch. Here, there's nothing to really grasp onto. It takes place so far in the future that their society doesn't reflect ours very well, so there's not much to relate to. And you don't really have a reason to feel sorry for these characters. They briefly address the demise of society on Earth in a flashback, and the politics and the characters come off as preachy rather than interesting, like in Neon Genesis. There was one part of the film where they were talking about going into a valley pass way where Godzilla is known to be, and I thought, okay, this is going to be exciting, you know? They tell you, oh, it could be dangerous, Godzilla's going to be there. But before they show it, they go into deep detail, just explaining everything, what the valley's like. It's like, well, don't just tell us, show us. You know? It's an anime, and there's going to be a visual perspective of this film that people want to see. They want to see the imagery portrayed in anime. So show it, don't tell us about it. And there is some great visuals, but it's just not enough to balance out all the dialogue. And that's actually the only problem I really have with this film, but it's such a huge factor that it just drains the energy out of the film. You can argue that this whole movie is just a prologue for the next two films, and maybe the next two films will be more exciting, which I don't doubt that as a possibility. But at the same time, it doesn't change the fact that this movie will always be a slow burner, which doesn't quite pay off in the end. It gets close to paying off, but it doesn't. Another issue, which this is just the English version, is the dubbing. In some areas is completely cringeworthy. It's definitely like second-hand rate anime dubbing. It's just kind of thrown in there to be in there. The main character sounds like he's emo, and everything he says is just, it's so stressful, man. You can't relate. I'm so angry at the world. It's like, talk normal. And everybody else besides the main character sounds like William Shatner. They just randomly pause between sentences. The music is pretty much forgettable. It doesn't really distract, but it wasn't bad. Some of it just sounded like throwaway background commercial music. There were a lot of people concerned about Godzilla's new origins, about having a plant basis, which I really didn't see that addressed this much in this film. Maybe that's in the next film. But I didn't have a problem with that. I know a lot of people got into Godzilla because he was some kind of monster dinosaur, but to me, Godzilla was always a monster. He just happened to take the form of a dinosaur. So to see him be a plant form creature, or whatever he is now, I'm totally okay with that because he's still a monster. And in my opinion, he's still Godzilla. Anyways, those are my gripes with the film. Visually, like I said, it is stunning when they show something exciting. It's colorful. It's almost psychedelic. There's some beautiful color contrasts whenever you have this world that's glowing orange and then Godzilla's spine start to glow blue. You just see the color fade from one spectrum to the other across the screen. As for the anime itself, this is that 3D cell rendering. Some people have a complaint with that and they say that it's not really anime. And they have a point, but there's something that I truly love about this 3D computer cell. It feels like it's halfway to a live action film, and just seeing Godzilla in motion, sometimes whenever he's so fluid that you can only capture with computer animation, it's almost like having a whole nother live action Godzilla movie. So the movie goes for a slow burn, and it just doesn't pay off in the end. The last 10 minutes of the movie become really epic, and it's exactly what you want, but it's not worth the 60-minute wait to get to that climax. And what was up with the end credits scene? The big teaser is that there's natives living on Earth still? I mean, at least show us a monster instead or something. I know this is just the first film in a trilogy, but is that all we're getting for all those kaiju that they talked about? I thought we were really going to see Godzilla versus Dogora, and I know they teased Mechagodzilla earlier, which actually brings me to some plot points. I'm not sure if they're plot holes because they might be answered in future films. The whole plot about aliens arriving one day because they need somewhere to live, so they build, I guess, Mechagodzilla, but the project fails, and so the aliens take humans on board to leave Earth until they can find somewhere better to live. And really, it seems like the aliens are there just so that the humans have a way to get off the planet in the storyline and be gone for, what was it, 20,000 years? I can't quite recall it. And they even hint that there's something being hidden in the past, so maybe there's more to that. But the other thing is, there's so many character contradictions. I mean, the main character is just this moody character who's just constantly wanting to rebel against the way civilization is being run. He thinks they should go back and destroy Godzilla, and he preaches that so many times. But then in the middle of the battle, all of a sudden, whenever he gets promoted to being general, everybody's shocked that he wants to take out Godzilla. I mean, yeah, they've already said that several times in the film. I don't know, is there something I'm missing, guys? I'll definitely give this film more of a chance. It just didn't meet my expectations. Here's a fun game to play. Take a drink every time somebody says bastard. For about 90% of the movie, the only curse word they would say was bastard. And then towards the end, all of a sudden, they start throwing in other curse words just to kind of add some variety. They're like shit, damn, hell. But I kid you not, the last line in the movie is once again bastard. It's hysterical that they just had to sneak that in. What did you think of this? I'm Giant Munsties. See you next time.